I ignored that Lin Yan's legs were crippled and married him, gave birth to a son and a daughter, until Lin Yan's white moonlight came to our door. Brother Yan, I can't forget you. Just like in his past life, he got entangled with his white moonlight. I kindly let them be together. But later, with red eyes, he forced me into a corner. Why can't my legs be cured? They were clearly curable in my past life. I can only say his rebirth was too late. The day Lin Yan's white moonlight appeared, he drank some alcohol for a change. Drunk, he sat under the veranda, watching the moon all night. I didn't disturb him and slept soundly until dawn. Chan Yue's back. At the dinner table, Lin Yan brought it up. She has now divorced that man and has nowhere to go. I am thinking of cleaning up the courtyard next door to let her settle in for now. What do you think? Although he was asking for my opinion, if I disagreed, he would have a slew of words waiting for me. So I just nodded in agreement. Okay, but there isn't much money at home. And Chenner's school tuition hasn't been paid yet. I know, I won't ask you for money. Lin Yan impatiently interrupted me. The next day, I discovered the famous painting in his study was gone. It was the one he cherished the most, and also the last one that could be sold for money. We're replaced with all sorts of furniture and household items, and moved to the yard next door. Chan Yue stood gracefully in the middle, looking unbelievably charming. The one she was wearing was probably the newest style of brocade robe from Cheng Yifeng. She noticed my gaze. Chan Yue's gaze crossed over the low wall and landed on me. Sister Zhaowen, sorry for the disturbance. Her words were humble, but her face was full of haughtiness. As long as you know. I only replied to her with 4 words and turned to go to the kitchen. In the evening, Lin Yan came back with Chan Yue. She shrank behind him. Sister, are you still mad at me? Before I could say anything, Lin Yan spoke up. She welcomes you. Feel free to stay, and don't feel burdened. Brother Yan, you are so good to me. Chan Yue looked at him with her watery eyes. I couldn't be bothered with them, and called my son and daughter out to eat. Embarrassment flashed across Lin Yan's face, but he still had the cheek to say, add an extra set of bowl and chopsticks. Yue can't cook. Chan Yue hurriedly chimed in. After I almost burned down the kitchen last time I cooked. Brother Yan wouldn't let me do it anymore. A girl's hands are very delicate and should be well protected. Lin Yan frowned and looked over, but in the end, he didn't say anything. Chenner said in a childish, milky voice, but father also said, a person should have the most basic survival skills. Otherwise, they're just a good for nothing. Chan Yue's face turned pale, and Lin Yan shouted in rebuke, Chenner, don't be rude. I rubbed Chenner's head. Let's eat. No talking while eating, no talking before bed. After you finish eating, pack your things yourself. I'll send you to the tutor's place tomorrow morning. Yes, mother, he replied in a clear, crisp voice. There was a clear glint of tears in his eyes, but he stubbornly lowered his head, unwilling to let me see. Ripples spread through my originally calm heart, and an unbearable sour bitterness arose. In my past life, my Chenner had suddenly passed away before he even turned 6. But thankfully, heaven gave me a second chance. Since I am not welcome, I'll just leave, Brother Yan. I am sorry, I won't cause you any more trouble. Chan Yue ran outside with red eyes. Yue, Lin Yan called out anxiously. She didn't turn back. I looked at Lin Yan's legs. They were completely lifeless, so of course he couldn't give chase. Realizing my gaze, Lin Yan's expression suddenly turned cold. Is this your way of treating guests? Chenner, where have all your manners gone? How can you speak to an elder like that? First he got mad at me, then he suddenly attacked Chenner. I couldn't help but speak up. Is this your way of treating guests, casually bringing other women home to eat, selling things and taking the money, but ignoring your own children to spend it all on someone else? Is she a guest? As I questioned him again and again, his face turned pale inch by inch. What nonsense are you thinking? The bond between Yue and I since childhood isn't as sordid as you think. I laughed coldly. You'd better hope so. The meal made everyone unhappy. I was worried it would leave a shadow on the children, so I went to accompany them specially at night. Minna is still young and couldn't understand what we were saying. But Chenner had a long face, like a little bitter gourd. Mom, what is the relationship between Auntie Yue from next door and Dad? Why did Auntie Chun say that when Auntie Yue comes, Dad won't want us anymore? If Dad doesn't want us anymore, Chenner can still take good care of little sister, right? He was greatly shocked, trying hard to hold back his tears. I pulled the child into my arms and gently patted his back. Good boy. Even without a dad, you still have a mom. We can still live very well. Chenner is still young after all. He leaned in my arms and started to cry with whimpers. I broke it down for him. Everyone has their own choices. No matter what Dad does, it is his own business. Chenner is still young and can't interfere with the adults' choices. If Dad really leaves, Mom can still raise you very well. But doesn't Daddy love me? Maybe he does. But Daddy can also love other people more. He seemed to understand, sobbing. He looked at me. Aren't you mad, Mommy? I am not mad. Having Chenner and Minner is enough for Mommy. I held the child and rambled on for a long time, until I was sure that he could accept this and wouldn't do anything drastic. In my past life, I didn't let Chenner know about the adults' grudges, coaxing him that Auntie Chun was talking nonsense, until Lin Yan really abandoned us. He couldn't take the blow and secretly snuck in next door, but was mistaken for a thief, and the one who kicked him in the chest happened to be his father. Not only did Lin Yan feel no guilt, he even blamed me for corrupting the child. A common shrew, after all, to think she raised him to be this unbearable. With a personality like his, he'll be a menace when he grows up. If he really can't take it, then so be it. My Chenner really couldn't take it, and died at the hands of his own father. Lin Yan didn't come back for 3 days straight. On the 4th day, I didn't cook for him. But he came back, with Chan Yue still following behind him. In just a few days, she had quickly brightened up, her little face all rosy. After all, she has never had a child, still like a little girl. These past few days, I've gotten tired of the restaurants outside. Brother Yan said that Sister Zhaowen's sour soup fish is one of a kind. We've already caught the fish. Brother Yan is so amazing, he can spear them with a fork right by the river. She was smug, showing off how good Lin Yan was to her. Lin Yan stared intently at me, as if he was expecting something. I didn't want to guess what he was thinking, I just felt irritated. My tone unconsciously carried some emotion. You didn't say you were coming back, so I didn't make your food, let alone for an extra person. Lin Yan's expression suddenly changed, and he said coldly, I didn't realize I had to notify you in advance just to come home for a meal. I slammed my bowl down with a thud. Of course you do. The food I made for the past 3 days all went to waste. The food at home is limited. We can't afford to waste it. Husband, you have money to treat others to a meal out, but have you ever thought about your children at home? He was choked up, momentarily at a loss for words. At this moment, Chan Yue said in a low voice, Brother Yan earns his own money, which is better than some people who just sit and wait to be given money. It is money, money, all. Isn't that a bit too vulgar? I really couldn't help it and rolled my eyes. The clothes and jewelry on you, miss, which of them wasn't bought with money? Did you earn it? That is enough, Song Zhaowen. How long are you going to be this difficult? Anger flared on Lin Yan's face, his eyes frighteningly cold. He rarely got this angry. A flash of smugness crossed Chan Yue's eyes, the corners of her mouth rising in an irrepressible smirk. Right after that, Lin Yan took out his money pouch and threw it at me. You just like money, don't you? Fine, I'll give it to you. It is pretty painful. But I squatted down and picked it up, unfazed. For money, you really don't want your dignity anymore. Chan Yue's face was full of disgust. I glanced at Lin Yan. Did you hear that? Your wife doesn't even want her dignity for money. You are doing such a great job as a husband. Lin Yan's expression froze. Then a flash of panic crossed it. I cut him off. If you two have nothing else, please go to a restaurant. This little place of mine can't accommodate you. He froze for a moment, then quickly said, What are you talking about? This is obviously my home too. You should go back first. Chan Yue stared at him in disbelief, and seeing Lin Yan was unmoved, she snorted coldly. A petty trick of playing hard to get. I can't be bothered to argue with you. I ignored her. But as I turned, Lin Yan grabbed my sleeve. Push me, he said this stiffly, and you could even hear his discomfort. I was also uncomfortable, married for many years. Lin Yan doesn't like to show weakness. He wouldn't even let me touch his wheelchair. It was rare for him to make a request on his own initiative. Me husband, you can do it yourself. After saying that, she pulled out her sleeve and went to call the children for dinner. Lin Yan looked at the empty pot and then at the 3 bowls of rice on the table. He said awkwardly, "The fish. I'll just make it myself then." I just nodded and hummed in response. By the time we finished eating, the kitchen was already filled with smoke and fire. Chenner looked at me worriedly, and Minner covered her nose. "Mommy, it is on fire." I patted her on the head. "Don't worry, it is nothing." I told Chenner to take Minner to play, and I cleaned up the dishes and went to the kitchen. Lin Yan sat by the stove, at a loss. His clean white face was already stained with dirt. I am not very good at it. His tone was helpless, yet vaguely expectant. He used to be able to do it. But after marrying me, he couldn't anymore. It is okay, you'll learn eventually. In his previous life, after he was with Chanyu, he slowly learned again. Just as Chanyu said, he couldn't bear to let her cook, so he took the initiative to do it. Are you still angry? If you care, I won't look for her again in the future. I care, I replied blandly, and his expression froze, not expecting me to be so direct. Before he could speak, I added, I am not a generous person. When my husband gives money to others, he is depriving my children of their interests. I mind very much. His brow furrowed slightly. Is it just about the money? What about me? You don't care about me. I looked at him, a bit bewildered. Lin Yan sighed and said in a low voice, I know you are angry about the Chanyue matter. I didn't handle it well. These past few days, I was just trying to provoke you. Forget it. Let's just go back to living our lives peacefully. If what he said was true, then he really has changed in this life. Perhaps it is because his legs are still crippled that he feels he isn't worthy of Chanyue. But considering he doesn't have much time left, I couldn't be bothered to argue. Unexpectedly, however, Lin Yan still went back on his word. On Chenner's birthday, the 3 of us sat waiting for him to return. A full 2 hours passed, and Chenner's back had grown stiff from sitting at the door. Let's eat. I took his hand and led him back into the room. Daddy went to find her, didn't he? He looked up at me, his eyes brimming with tears. I nodded, not hiding the truth from him. Actually, it didn't matter that he didn't come back. The waiting was just to make Chenner and Minner face reality, to shatter that little delusion in their hearts. Mother, it is okay. Chenner isn't sad. While I was in a daze, a small hand was tucked into my palm. Chenner held my hand firmly, breaking into a wide smile. I rubbed his little head. Happy birthday, my Chenner. May you grow up healthy and happy. Thank you, Mother. I gave him the gift I had prepared beforehand. It was the 4 treasures of the study. Minner ran over, pouting. Mother, what about my gift? Chenner quickly took out a small box from his clothes and handed it to her. Big Brother prepared it for you. Big Brother is so nice. Minner threw herself at him in a hug, and the 2 of them dissolved into laughter. It wasn't until after we had eaten, and the 2 children were tired and asleep, that Lin Yan finally showed up late. His face was full of guilt. Something happened to Chanyue. I couldn't just stand by and let her die. I cleared the table indifferently, but he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Did you hear what I said? I sneered. What could have happened to her that required a disabled person like you to help? Song Zhaowen, having hit a nerve, Lin Yan shouted in anger. I pulled my hand back and said indifferently, Let's get a divorce. I'll let you 2 be together. I had originally planned to endure it until after he died, but seeing the disappointed look in Chenner's eyes, I couldn't help but want to take the children and leave. What did you say? Lin Yan suspected he had misheard, so I repeated it again. He was stunned for a good while, then angrily threw out a do as you please and left. We fell into a cold war. During this time, he and Chan Yue were always seen together as a pair, and rumors spread among the neighbors. Chenner went from being sad at the beginning to ignoring it now. Minner was even more indifferent, only pestering her brother for this and that every day. I silently handled the shops and properties on my hands. This day, Lin Yan, for some crazy reason, barged into my room in the middle of the night and cornered me. My leg. Why didn't you heal my leg? His eyes stared fixedly at me, so bloodshot they looked like they could bleed. Before I could speak, he was already muttering to himself, clearly. You clearly healed my leg in my past life. I could clearly stand up. Something must have gone wrong somewhere. Song Zhaowen. I quickly calmed myself. I don't understand what you are talking about. Hasn't your leg been ruined for a long time? The doctor also said it is incurable. Lin Yan stared at me for a long time, confirming I wasn't lying. After letting go of me, he was both crying and laughing. No, it can be cured. He gripped the edge of the wheelchair, trembling all over. Song Zhaowen, my leg can be cured. You clearly helped me cure it in my past life, so why aren't you curing it this time? It is okay. I'll treat it myself. I looked at Lin Yan's back as he almost fell from excitement, and narrowed my eyes. He has been reborn, but a little too late. Lin Yan didn't show his face for half a month straight. Chan Yue couldn't find him either, so she came directly to me. Where did you hide Lin Yan, Song Zhaowen? No matter where you take him, he will never love you. I advise you to face reality sooner, rather than later. I didn't want to deal with her, so I held Minner's hand and walked around her. But Chan Yue blocked my way. Where on earth did he go? I don't know. How could you possibly not know? You did it on purpose. Do you know I haven't eaten for a whole day? I suddenly laughed, and only then did I notice the hairpin on Chan Yue's head was gone. My gaze then fell on her bright clothes, and I said indifferently, These clothes of yours can still get you a few meals. But I looked towards the courtyard behind her. This courtyard, I am going to sell it. You better hurry up and leave. By what right? Because this courtyard is mine. Lin Yan doesn't have much money. After his family's decline, all that was left were some books and paintings, and they've been mostly sold off these past few years. On the surface, it was all used for daily expenses, but actually, I saved it up to buy property. The house was left to me by my father. I have the right to dispose of it. You are crazy. When Brother Yan comes back, I'll definitely make you pay. Admit it, Song Zhaowen. You are just jealous of me. So what if you had 2 children for him? The person he loves is still me. I glanced at the dejectedly returning Lin Yan in the distance, and the corner of my lips curled up. So sure, if Lin Yan hadn't been reborn, I would believe it. But now he is the Lin Yan who has been reborn. Upon seeing Lin Yan, Chan Yue's eyes immediately reddened. Brother Yan, where did you go? Sister Zhaowen wants to kick me out, and she even said she is the one in charge of this family. Lin Yan only glanced at her before his gaze fell upon me. Song Zhaowen, what on earth went wrong? Isn't there a doctor named Zhang in Nancheng? Where did he go? His words were pleading, his hands clutched his knees, his expression pained. I shook my head blankly. I don't understand what you are talking about. I've never been to Nancheng. How would I know any doctor? Brother Yan, unwilling to give up, Chan Yue tugged at the corner of his clothes again, her voice growing more choked with sobs. Lin Yan's expression turned cold as he pulled out his clothes. Miss Chan, please leave. His sudden coldness was unacceptable to Chan Yue. Brother Yan, are you not going to care about me anymore? Did she force you? Song Zhaowen, you bitch. What did you say to Brother Yan? Before she could finish her sentence, she was knocked to the ground by Lin Yan. Lin Yan stared at her with bloodshot eyes, spitting out a single word through gritted teeth. Get lost. Chan Yue got scared and hastily scrambled up to hide inside the room. Lin Yan took a few deep breaths to calm himself before looking at me. Zhaowen, let's go home. He reached his hand out to me, trembling slightly. I gave a faint smile. You must be joking, young Master Lin. This is my home. It has nothing to do with you. After saying that, I quickly walked over and closed the door. Lin Yan's voice came from outside the door. Song Jiawen, the divorce papers haven't been signed, so you are still my wife. Open the door. Making a scene isn't good for anyone. I was wrong in the past. From now on, let's live a good life together. Don't forget, I am the father of 2 children. Just as he finished speaking, Chenner's faint voice was heard. Uncle Lin, whoever my mother's husband is Minner's and my father. You are Auntie Ye's husband, so naturally you are not my father. Lin Chen, Lin Yan roared in exasperation. I hurried to open the door, and Chenner slipped in. With a bang, I shut the door again. You are bullying me because I have trouble with my legs. But this pair of legs of mine can clearly be cured. Wait until Dr. Zhang comes back. You better not regret it. Lin Yan was furious, his voice terrifyingly cold. Chenner looked at me worriedly, and I gave his little face a squeeze. Rest assured. In my past life, I did cure Lin Yan's legs. The price was everything I had: money, dignity, and even health. Dr. Zhang from Nancheng was eccentric and unwilling to come here to treat Lin Yan's legs. But Lin Yan also refused to go to Nancheng to see him. Are you disgusted that these legs of mine have become a burden to you? If you had said so earlier, we could have just gotten a divorce, saving you the trouble of finding different ways to stab at me. At that time, I didn't know if Dr. Zhang could really do it, nor did I dare to force Lin Yan. So I traveled back and forth between Nancheng and Zhangzhou. Finally, on a day of pouring rain, the door to Dr. Zhang's house opened. He looked at me with a cold face. Miss, you will regret this in the future. I just smiled and replied, for a man as stunningly talented as him, how unbearable it must be to lose his legs. If he can be cured, even if he leaves me, I would accept it. All I wanted was for Lin Yan to get better. Physician Zhang finally agreed. He lived with us at our home for half a year. Money was spent like water. My dowry, Lin Yan's calligraphy and paintings, were all used up. The day Lin Yan regained feeling in his legs, he was so excited his whole body was shaking. He said, "Jiawan, thank you." Looking at those eyes as bright as a sky full of stars, I felt it was all worth it. I just want you to be well. When his legs could finally walk again, Dr. Zhang also set off to leave. Lin Yan smilingly asked him to stay for the wedding feast. Yeah, he wants to marry me again. Last time was too rushed. This time, let's make it grander. He wants to have a proper wedding ceremony and have the villagers and neighbors witness it. But none of that could compare to Chan Yue's return 4 years later. After failing to find out Dr. Zhang's whereabouts for a long time, Lin Yan came to find me again. You really don't know anything? No, impossible. He gripped my hand tightly in our past life. It was all my fault, Jiawen, so please forgive me. A meek and humble Lin Yan, that is something new. Under his gaze full of hope, I squatted down and got close in front of his eyes. What on earth did you do in our past life that requires my forgiveness? He froze, his expression turning pained. It is all in the past, and luckily there is a chance to do it all over again. He quickly convinced himself. Get lost. A shout came from the next courtyard, and we turned our heads to look. We saw Chan Ye being thrown out, baggage and all. Her eyes lit up when she saw Lin Yan, Brother Yan. They're trying to kick me out. Brother Yan, save me. Tears hung on her eyelids. Her pale little face looked indescribably pitiful. The old lady kicking her out stood at the door with her hands on her hips, glancing contemptuously at Lin Yan. Then she spat, "You shameless dog, eating, drinking, and living off others for free. And you still think about seducing their husband. I, this old woman, have lived for decades and have never seen anyone with skin as thick as yours. Madame Song has already sold this courtyard to me, so you can get as far away from me as possible. If you keep crying and sniveling at my door, see if I don't beat you." She raised her hand and Chan Yue instinctively flinched, but Lin Yan indifferently looked away, his long fingers hooking the corner of my clothes. "Jiawen, why are you looking at irrelevant people? It is for the best that you don't remember. Anyway, I will treat you well from now on. Brother Yan." Chan Yue couldn't believe that Lin Yan would ignore her. Bead-sized tears fell, patter-patter, continuously onto the ground. I turned my head to look at Lin Yan. What on earth happened in our last life? You don't seem to like Miss Chanua anymore. His expression changed, and a vicious look quickly flashed in his eyes. But it was only for a moment, and he returned to his gentle appearance. It is nothing. I just suddenly figured it out. My wife and kids are what is important. I smiled and pulled back the corner of my clothes. Okay, let's go home. Ecstasy flashed across Lin Yan's face. He became attentive, sold the last few valuable items left in the study, gave all the money to me, and then went out early and came back late to write poems and paint for people. He has a reputation for his talent, and his commission isn't cheap. I watched the income gradually increase and exchanged it bit by bit for silver notes. It wasn't until the news of Chenner going to Nanshan Academy was settled that I quickly packed my things, planning to move out of Zhongzhou. When Lin Yan staggered home, the carriage had just been loaded. His face was pale, and he forced a smile. "Where are you going? Did you forget to tell me? But it is okay, good thing I am back now." Lin Yan was about to cry, but I smiled, looking at Chan Yue, who was not far away. She stared at him hatefully. "Brother Yan, give up. She won't take you with her. Get lost." Before Chan Yue's hand could even touch him, she was violently pushed away by Lin Yan. She fell to the ground, but was smiling menacingly. "What the hell is wrong with you? Are you out of your mind? You weren't like this before. You liked me the most. Have you forgotten?" She scrambled over to his side on all fours. "Brother Yan, I came back specifically to rely on you. How could you not want me? That money from selling your poems and paintings should be mine. You promised it to me. How could you go back on your word?" Lin Yan couldn't break free for a moment and looked at me anxiously. "Zhaowen, I am your husband. How can you leave me behind? Hurry up and come here. Come push me, Chenner, Minner. Are you not going to help your daddy either?" Chenner took Minner into the horse carriage. He covered Minner's eyes and ears, pursing his lips and saying nothing. Seeing we were all looking indifferent, Lin Yan got annoyed. He suddenly pushed Chan Yue away with great force. He hurriedly wheeled his wheelchair towards the carriage. "It is all right. It is all right. I am coming to find you. We are a family. No matter what grudges there are, they will pass. I can still write poems. I can still paint. I am good at making money. Doesn't Zhaowen like money?" When he was almost there, his wheelchair suddenly got stuck and wouldn't move. It turned out Chan Yue was pulling it from behind. "Brother Yan, you can't go. You can't leave me behind." But Lin Yan was furious. "Let go of me. I won't believe you again. If it weren't for you, my child wouldn't have died. If it weren't for you, Zhaowen wouldn't have left me either. Chan Yue, you venomous woman, just a few days ago, she was the white moonlight of his heart, and in an instant, she became a venomous woman." Chan Yue didn't understand, her face full of shock and confusion. Lin Yan's hatred for her was so great that she was stunned on the spot. She unconsciously loosened her grip. Having gained his freedom, Lin Yan came before me in the blink of an eye. He reached his hand out to me, his face full of anticipation. "I am your husband. Where could you possibly go without me? If you really won't listen, I will report this to the authorities. Don't you want a future for Chen or Zhaowen? Be good. I'll really treat you both well." 19, as his face was filled with expectation, I took out the divorce agreement from my bosom. On it, the two large characters for Lin Yan were crystal clear. How is that possible? I never signed it. Lin Yan flatly denied it, but I just smiled. "You can go to the Yamen and file a complaint. Have someone verify its authenticity. Don't you really recognize your own handwriting?" He looked as if he had been struck by lightning, frozen on the spot. He must have remembered that I tricked him into signing the divorce agreement when our relationship was at its best. I stood at the front of the carriage and looked towards the villagers and neighbors. "Today, Lin Yan and I have divorced. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other." After speaking, my gaze fell upon him. "Since his heart lies with someone else, I naturally won't force it. I just wish you 2 lifetimes and lifetimes, never to be separated." I turned around, ducked into the carriage, and ordered the driver to leave. Behind me, Linyan screamed himself hoarse. But no matter how loud a voice is, there is a time when it disappears, as long as I go far enough. This day, I've waited too long for it. I bought a courtyard house not far from Chenner's academy, and also acquired some properties, without the expense of treating Linyan's legs, plus the money he earned all these years. It is enough for the three of us to live out the rest of our lives comfortably, but it is still not enough. I need to save up a dowry for Minner, if Chenner is successful in the future. Connections in the official circles will also need to be managed. Therefore, I am very busy, so busy that it wasn't until 3 months later that I heard news of Linyan and Chan Yue. How could Chan Yue be as good as Madame Song? After you left, she forced young Master Lin to write poems and essays, and didn't give him the money from selling them. Poor young Master Lin tried to escape, but was caught and dragged back by her. A few days ago, they even had a big fight that young Master Lin was yelling something or other, said that Chan Yue had ruined him, but it was clearly his own choice. Yet he can blame it all on someone else. Really, the other person rambled on and on. Chan Yue did indeed ruin him, but not in this life. In the previous one. In the previous life, when Chan Yue came to find him, Linyan's legs had already fully healed. The white moonlight from my younger days was still as bright and dazzling as ever. His gratitude and guilt towards me completely vanished amidst the constant push and pull, until both of my children lost their lives, one after another. Song Jiawen, you should think about whether you've done some evil deed for the retribution to fall upon your children. You can't even watch the child properly. You can't blame me for this. Yue was just washing clothes by the river. If she hadn't seen Minner fall into the water and found someone to rescue her, you might not even have seen a body. Don't you make such slanderous accusations. She could never harm my child. Me heart grew cold and I divorced him, while he scrambled to clear his name. You healed my leg, but don't hold that over my head. Even without you, I would have been able to get it healed one day. He rushed towards his love with Chan Yue, his heart full of passion. But on the very day he passed the imperial examinations, he was reported by someone. Turns out, Chan Yue wasn't amicably divorced. She had fled overnight because she was afraid her husband's family's decline would implicate her. In reality, she was the wife of a convicted official. Linyan's moment of glory was over before it even began. How could this be? I hid in the crowd, watching him entertain guests, and also watching him become lonely and dejected. But that wasn't enough. 3 days later, Linyan and Chan Yue both died in the mass grave. The blood in my body was drained dry and the stench was unbearable. Covered in blood, I walked towards the depths of the river, towards the bottomless abyss. Chenner Minner, Mom has come for you. Before this, 3 years of a pig butchering life, from a woman who couldn't even truss a chicken, to my knife rising and falling, precise and powerful. The calluses on my hands were hard as rocks. Finally, I killed my enemy with my own hands. It is just a pity about my 2 children. My Chenner was so sensible. Before he died, he grabbed my hand. Mom, don't cry. Chenner isn't scared. Wait, in the next life, Chenner will still be your child. Mom, you have to come find Chenner. Minner was even more pitiful. When the small child was pulled from the water, her face was already unrecognizable. Just this morning, she was rubbing her eyes, her face full of innocent charm. Mom, I want to eat mung bean cakes. Her mung bean cakes were ready, but she never came back to eat them. How could Linyan know that Chan Yue's identity had doomed him? But it was I who exposed that identity. Their lives, his and Chan Yue's, were also taken by me. I didn't expect Linyan could still find his way to my door at that time. I was busy making winter clothes for my 2 children, with the best cotton batting laid out in the yard to dry in the sun. It was pure white, and the sunlight shining on it warmed one's heart. It was then that Linyan appeared at the doorway. He was actually standing, but the clothes on his body were tattered and torn, and his face was covered in filth. If it weren't for that pair of bright eyes, I would have thought he was a beggar from somewhere. Jiawen, hiss. He got excited and took a step forward, but collapsed to the ground after just that one step. Immediately after, he hugged his legs and started rolling around. Seeing me approach, he gritted his teeth through the pain and forced a smile. Look, I can stand up now. Saying that, he started struggling again. But it didn't go as he wished. I looked again at the wheelchair not far away. It seems he didn't walk here. For a disabled person to find his way here from Zhangzhou, it must have taken him a lot of effort. My hand was on the door, and just as I started to push, Lin Yan suddenly crawled over. He grabbed my foot. A dirty smudge immediately appeared on my clean white shoes. I frowned, feeling very impatient. Lin Yan flinched back, his words agitated. I can stand up now. I'll definitely be able to walk in the future. Zhaowen, don't despise me. Did Physician Zhang treat you? I was really curious. Logically speaking, even if Physician Zhang came, his legs were beyond saving. No, he said, they couldn't be cured, but I don't believe him. They were clearly curable in my past life. See, I found an even better physician, and now I can stand up. I looked at his sweat-stained face, so weak that he was gasping for air. Then I looked at his legs, which clearly had no strength in them. Suddenly, I realized something. This isn't cured at all. It has gotten worse. With that, I am relieved. I ruthlessly shut the door. I ignored Lin Yan's wails, but he lingered at the door and wouldn't leave. Whenever he ran into someone, he'd say I was his wife. Now that my legs are crippled, it is understandable that my wife despises me. Before, I could still sell some calligraphy and paintings to make a living, but now that the art can't fetch a good price, she doesn't want me anymore. The two children sigh. Perhaps they're also listening to their mother. The implication of his words was that I despised the poor and loved the rich, and was ungrateful. He even ruined the reputation of our children along with it. Chenner's academy is nearby, and I don't want his reputation to be damaged. So I opened the door and saw Lin Yan. His face showed delight, and looking at Chenner and Minner, he even tried to reach out his hands. Good children, why don't you greet me? I motioned for Chenner to take Minner back to their room first, and looked at Lin Yan coldly. In your past life, when you caused their deaths, did you ever consider that you were their father? He froze abruptly, staring at me in disbelief. I might as well just tell him directly. That is right. I was reborn, and earlier than you. My rebirth happened on my wedding night with Lin Yan. He could have run. But in the world as it is today, if I were to run away from the marriage, I would have no place to stand from then on. Let alone my pair of children from my past life. I miss them. So I took the initiative to suggest sleeping in separate rooms. Lin Yan was more than happy to. Until a year later, to Lin Yan's surprise, I initiated sex with him. The days were exactly the same as in my previous life. I was so scared that the one who came wouldn't be my Chenner. But thankfully, it really was him. He came for me. Later, Minner also came, Song Zhaowen. Lin Yan's trembling voice pulled me back to reality. I let out a laugh. You don't actually think that we, with 2 lives between us, could still get back together, do you? Then why did you still marry me? I toyed with the tea foam in my cup and said lightly, for the children, and also because you have some money after all. And more importantly, because I had to keep an eye on his legs. These sinful legs, they must not heal, and his life, that too, must be repaid. So my legs, he looked down as if in disbelief. He finally understood why in his previous life, Physician Zhang, upon seeing him, had silently prepared to treat him. Yet in this life, he had just shaken his head and said it was hopeless. Lin Yan suddenly lunged at me, but I was prepared and dodged out of the way. His eyes were red, and he glared fixedly at me. Why did you harm me? Aren't you afraid of retribution? I looked at him indifferently. Actually, in our past life, you also died at my hands. It is just that it was too dark then, and my strike was precise. So you just didn't get a chance to see my face. Lin Yan, I gave you a chance to regret on our wedding day. You were the one who was unwilling. Even a vicious tiger won't eat its own cubs. For someone like you, the retribution should fall on you. I turned and left. Those legs that harmed my son, How could I let them have any chance of getting better? Lin Yan roared in the courtyard. His legs ached, and so did his heart. By the time Chan Yue arrived with people, he had long since passed out from the pain. What did you do to him? Her gaze was venomous, and as it swept across the courtyard I lived in, it was filled with jealousy and hatred. I said faintly, "Watch your man. Otherwise, the Wang family still has a few nephews looking for you. And I don't mind leading the way for them." Chan Yue's face paled suddenly. The filth she hid in her heart, she no longer dared to show it openly. She had her people tie up Lin Yan. "Since you've already divorced her and married me, how can you be so shameless as to come looking for her?" Lin Yan's eyes turned red with anger. That marriage certificate was clearly a fake. "You tricked me, Chan Yue. Give up on that idea. It is impossible for me to marry you." Enraged, Chan Yue raised her hand and slapped him. Her gaze fell on his legs and she let out a cold laugh. "So it turns out all that concern you've shown recently was fake, and you even said that when your leg was healed, you'd go take the imperial examination. He said that if he made it big in the future, he would even earn me a noble title. Turns out he was tricking me all along. Lin Yan, I think you might as well not have those legs." After speaking, she stomped over viciously, but I reached out and blocked her. Light immediately shot out from Lin Yan's eyes. But then he heard me say coldly, "Once you are out of my courtyard. You can beat or scold him as you please." I was afraid they would scare the child. Lin Yan was taken away by Chan Yue. In less than a month, the sons and nephews of Chan Yue's husband's family also came to their door. Only then did Chan Yue realize that I had tricked her. But she had her hands full and had no time at all to get back at me. The rouge at my shop sold well, so a shopkeeper from Zhangzhou came over to stock up. Learning that I was from Zhangzhou, he told me some of the latest gossip. The story about Chan Yue and Lin Yan was one of them. Those nephews are real scumbags. They occupied their house and took their money to spend on food, drinks, and gambling. They even forced the couple to wait on them. See, young Master Lin finally couldn't take it anymore and burned everyone to death in a fire. I listened quietly and couldn't help but give him a few extra boxes of fashionable rouge. The shopkeeper was happy, and so he said even more. "I heard that young Master Lin originally had a proper wife, but he took advantage of her love for him and openly found a mistress. See, he angered his good wife into leaving and brought in such a shrew, speaking of which, he deserved it." "Yeah," I smiled, and gave him a few more boxes of rouge, then saw him out. Actually, even if Lin Yan hadn't set that fire, he wouldn't have lived long anyway. For the past 5 years, I had been putting slow-acting poison in the tea he drank every day. Many years later, Chenner passed the imperial examination. Our family went to the capital city again. Later, Chenner made us proud, and I gradually became the matriarch of a prestigious family. On my deathbed, Chenner came to my bedside, his hair disheveled. "Mother, I had a dream. I dreamed I went back to my childhood, got kicked by father, and then I interrupted him. If it were real, would you blame Mother for coming back to find you?" Chenner knelt on the ground, holding my hands. "How could I? It is Chenner's blessing to be Mother's child." "That is good, that is good."